Akumanor Escape DX is a retro action platformer done in a Game Boy Color style. It is free to download and I will leave a link in the description. There's not really any story here to speak of, but the graphical presentation is spot on. This is one of those games that gives you nostalgia as soon as you turn it on, even though you've never played it before. The backgrounds and sprite work are excellent, just what you would expect from a Game Boy Color game, and everything has a nice dark gothic vibe. It almost looks like the Castlevania game on Game Boy Color that we never got. The soundtrack is super catchy as well. It has a classic chiptune sound that kind of gets stuck in your head even after you turn off the game. I really enjoyed the soundtrack on this level. It reminded me of Castlevania a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there was one riff that made me feel like I was about to listen to a theme from that game. Control here is simple and responsive. You have a jump and an attack, and by pressing down on the controller, you can activate your shield, which can be used to block projectiles. There is no save or password feature here, so you have to do the whole game in one sitting, but it's not really a big deal. There are 3 levels here, and while each one is pretty lengthy, the whole game took me about 30 minutes to beat on my first try. The challenge level here is just right. It starts off easy, but by the end things can get pretty tricky. Nothing ever felt cheap. There were no blind jumps or deaths that felt out of place. When you die, it is your fault, and I like that. There are a lot of long jumps that you could just barely clear, so you have to be careful when you line up these jumps. The game throws a lot of different obstacles at you. You get everything from large spiked pits, deadly swinging maces, guillotines that try and chop you, tons of moving platformers, and more. The enemies make things even more difficult. You have some enemies just walk at you and don't pose much of a threat, but of course, like any good retro platformer, there are annoying flying enemies such as ghosts that emulate Medusa head patterns and bats that swoop right in for the kill. There is no knockback in this game. When you get hit, your character simply jumps straight up, so you'll never get knocked back into a pit. However, should you get hit mid-jump, the knock-up will stop your trajectory and you will fall to your death. This is not nearly as common or frustrating as it was in games like Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden, but it will happen as these Medusa ghosts are super persistent and everywhere. In addition to the linear platforming, there's also keys you have to find in every level, so there's a little bit of exploration, but it's all self-contained, so this is not a Metroidvania. Each of the 3 worlds ends in a boss battle. They all follow the same basic structure. They attack and are totally immune to damage from you until just the right time. So you have to learn to dodge their attacks and find the perfect window to counter. The dragon boss here was the easiest to figure out. He eventually swoops down and you can just smack him. The final boss, this rock troll, was much trickier. You have to wait until he picks up a rock over his head, then you hit him and he drops on himself, causing damage. It's pretty easy once you figure it out. It just took a while for me to get there. Overall, I really enjoyed this game. It feels like the kind of game I would have randomly stumbled upon when going through my ROM sets of Game Boy Color, and does a fantastic job of capturing the nostalgia of that system while still being new. This is just a solid, well-made game. There's nothing particularly innovative here, but what's here is done well, and the game is completely free, so if you're looking for a new Game Boy Color game, this is definitely something you should check out.